he's like, why don't you go home and do a practicum there through their youth ministry, and that will give you school credit for one of the classes you're going to take. My advisor was telling me this. So I was like, sweet, man, that sounds great. You get to go home for the summer, free food, amen, in college, that's huge, okay? And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it, man. So I went, I was serving in leadership at my dad's church for this youth group who had a part-time youth pastor kind of in transition and stuff. And a few weeks before the end of the summer, they were having this event. Now, if some of you have been a part of the Church of God or churches, old school, have you ever heard of camp meeting? Have you ever heard that phrase? Well, now we call it different things, or summer celebration or whatever. Well, the state of North Carolina had always done this camp meeting, and they were having this service down at the place. Well, this time, this is like 10 years ago, oh, more than that, like 13 years ago, they didn't have anything for youth per se. It was just kind of a traditional camp meeting. You kind of just showed up, and a couple kids came with the parents or whatever. So they get this idea, and they say, hey, we're going to do a youth service just for youth during this camp meeting, okay? And we're going to have this and this and this, and we need somebody to do it. So they come to me like 2 weeks before the event, okay? It's like, wow, wait. They had some things, I guess, not worked out, whatever, and they said, listen, we're going to do something new we've never done before. We're going to brand it. We're going to have a youth service just for teens during the old school camp meeting service, okay? And would you be willing to kind of put that together, make it happen? Here's the deal. We meet out at this place in Statesville, North Carolina. It's just one open room for the church service, and we'll find room for you guys next to the parking lot outside. I was like, all right, okay, let's try to figure this out. And they said, I tell you what, I know it's last minute. I know you don't have a lot to work with, this and this, but the one guarantee we have is there's a band, actually from your college, from Warner, where I went in Florida, that's on this tour. They're traveling, doing some things, and that's the one solid thing we have set up for this event is they will be there to lead worship every night. They'll be there set up. They're cool with being outside, all this stuff. And so we're giving you a band. Now you work with that, everything else, and make it happen. So I was like, all right, at least we got one thing, right? So I said, okay, cool. So I get out there, and sure enough, like I said, I've never done this before, not a lot of time to promote, whatever. So we're outside, literally in this grass field next to the parking lot. I got one little tent that I found to be able to put up, so in case the band, it rained or whatever. So the band gets there, and they set up, and they get ready, and then it's time. So I've been praying, right? I'm like, okay, God, you got to move. And I feel like this is the case every Sunday morning, every event we do. We as the people of God, we have to pray, Lord, use me. Be ready, man. There's people that need this. We're going to do this. In this case, it was a special event, right? Well, we get up there, and there's like 15, maybe 20 kids kind of scattered. We're outside with some picnic tables and some chairs. And I'm young, man, and I'm just like, oh, Lord, man, you've got to show up. I know you will, and just do great things. And here we go. At least we have a band. At least we got this, we got some speakers lined up. We'll be ready to go. So the very first night, it's probably like a Sunday night, picture the band's up here, and there's some scattered teenagers, less than we have this morning. And they're out there, and come on, we're teenagers at the time, they're like, kind of whatever. And the lead singer of the band gets up there. And now keep in mind, this event's been prayed up, but Satan will do everything he can to drain the energy, right? To kind of take out the feeling of the room or whatever. We can kind of tend to lean on our own emotions or our own feelings. And all of a sudden, he gets up there, and like I said, it's my first youth event. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm ready, and I'm like, okay, Lord, here we go. And the first thing, this lead singer gets up there. They got drums, they got guitars, everything behind. And he gets up there and goes, you know what, guys? I'm not really feeling it. And then starts to put up his guitar and kind of walk away. Yeah, yes way, okay? I wish this was a fake story that's kind of like, that's a great analogy, right? No, this is real life, people. And I'm literally, like, if you guys were the band, I'm standing there like, and I just immediately go, what? I'm like, what, Lord, what do I do? I don't understand. Like, what do I do? No judgment on him whatsoever. He's a good friend of mine over the years. But in that moment, and I talked to him afterwards. I was like, what the heck? Well, I was actually our RD of the school. He was the bass guitar player. And he looked, and he's like this surfer, like this really hot guy on the girls' side of school. He's like a model, but he's kind of like, he kind of talks like this a little bit. And even this guy we call Judson, right? Even he figured it out immediately. And he looks over at the lead singer and goes, bro, start feeling it. Okay? And I literally thought, my thoughts exactly. And he's like, okay, so the band starts playing, he gets up there, and sure enough, boom, great things happen. They start worshiping, boom, it goes. But if we're honest, as mad as I was at that guy at the time, okay, in the moment, I was just like, whoo, so angry. But over the years, I tell this story because, is that not so true for us sometimes? Regardless if it's a big event or a Sunday, you ever just feel like in life, or when you're coming to church, or if you got to make yourself get up and go to a meeting, or whatever it is in life, sometimes you're just not feeling it, and you're just kind of dragging, and you're just kind of like, oh, whatever. Well, I'm here to tell you, man, I've now been, fast forward, now I've been in youth ministry, over 12 years, and done a lot of stuff, and as a matter of fact, y'all be praying, just came back from an awesome leadership weekend in Concord. My voice is kind of tripping a little bit because we had all these meetings, and God's doing great stuff. Our convention coming up for our young people, it's going to be great. And so God's doing all this cool stuff and making this work. But at the end of the day, if we ourselves, as we walk through this thing of life, if we let the things hit us so hard that sometimes we're not feeling it, what we do is we then allow our emotions, our feelings, ourselves to kind of start to fade into the darkness of life. You know what I'm talking about? Just all of a sudden, man, we're not. Youth group, some of the teens are in here, close your ears, okay? But here's the honest truth. There's some Wednesday nights back, man, my story in the last few years has been crazy. All right, well, there was a time that I had to find employment outside the church. You guys remember that? And I was working at 5 a.m. I am not a morning person. You guys know that, right? Well, I applied for this job, got it, Chick-fil-A, 5 a.m., and for that first month or so, it was hard for me to kick it into gear for youth on Wednesday nights, or kick it into gear for whatever. I was tired and just kind of dragging. I was going through a terrible time in my personal life. And there was a lot of Wednesdays that I just thought, man, I just want to cancel you tonight. I just don't feel it. I'm not feeling like it. I don't want to go. And I'm here to tell y'all, whether it was youth night or a meeting or whatever, if God ordained for that moment to happen, if God wanted us to move and be a part of that, and you've been here for Sunday morning service even, maybe you wake up like, oh, it'd be nice just to sleep in a little bit, I'm not really feeling it. And a lot of times we give into that. Well, fortunately for God, He got a hold of my life and just said, whether you're feeling it or not, you're going to do your job, you're going to pour into those kids or whatever. And 100 times out of 100 that I would drag myself in and kind of whatever, 10 minutes into the night, I was more rejuvenated, I was more energized, and every time, I could count on one hand how many nights I was kind of like, oh, I want to get out of it. Every single time, I just praise the Lord for getting my butt out of bed or wherever I was to get here and to do what He called me to do. And that happened, and I talked to the lead singer afterwards. One of those intense moments of fellowship. Have you ever had those with people, right? I'm just like, man, that was awesome. I brought him into my chest and I said, what were you thinking? What? You were the one guaranteed thing we had at this event. And he said the same kind of thing, man. He said, honestly, dude, I'm so sorry. He's like, we've been on the road. We're kind of a put-together band. This whole tour thing's new to us. We were dragging, a lot of travel, a lot of this, and I was tired, and this setup, and there's just a few kids here, whatever. And he goes, man, I just gave into my flesh in there in front of everybody. I was just like, I'm not feeling that. I don't feel like doing this right now. And I relied on myself instead of God to get me through that moment. And I feel like that's such a powerful message for all of us. We're going to talk this morning about freedom requires light, okay? Freedom requires light. Freedom requires us to truly be free in Christ. We've been talking about freedom for a long time. In order to truly be free and to be used by God, whether we're feeling it or not, it requires us to encounter Jesus like never before. I refer to this time in my life where, I was going through the tough time. I got that job, and I was just trying to get through it, try to do what I had to do. And it just so happened to be at Chick-fil-A. Okay, Chick-fil-A is a great place. All their chicken's saved. It's awesome, okay? Right? So it's a great place, but it was not a great place for me to work, okay? I never worked in food. I stunk at it, whatever. I'm not a morning person trying to adjust all this. And in all seriousness, I was, a lot of you know my story, and we'll talk another time if you want, but I was going through a personal tragic thing in my own personal life with my relationship at the time and different things. And in order to get out of bed, I had to rely on God most times, not just because of the hour. It could have been 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I still wouldn't have felt like moving or getting it going or whatever. I had to rely on God. And Chick-fil-A has this saying. Their mission, their vision at orientation, everything they do, and Truett Cathy, the owner, the founder, CEO, everything, this was his main thing that they pass on to every employee that comes to those doors, and they say, our goal every single day that you clock into this job is to have a positive impact on others. To literally have a positive impact on the people that come through your line, the other employees or whatever. And so I took that to heart. I said, Lord, my personal situation aside, my tiredness of just getting up or whatever it is, all these fleshy things, I was like, Lord, use me, move me, in spite of all that. It is not about me, man. We're going to talk about, I'm referring to a scripture this morning where Paul, his whole message is that it's not about us, it's all about God. And I had to literally pray for that. And would you believe God delivered me out of Egypt, amen, and I got delivered from that place, okay? And I got out of there, and I got to get a different job. And I will never forget this, and this is not about me whatsoever, because it wasn't me. It was all God. I'd gone through this in the middle of this personal, terrible time. I was not myself. I was not the Nate that everybody was used to, whatever. Well, to this crowd, they don't know me at all, coming into the Chick-fil-A crew and stuff. And as I was leaving and told me, I got another job, whatever, so many different employees came to me and just shared with me. They would text me, call me later on after I left, and just said, man, thank you for the impact you had on my life. Thank you for how God used you. They said, I'd come in with a bad attitude, and man, you would cheer me right up. I'd come in this and feel like this, or I'd be going through a tough time, and just your goofy, crazy self just picked me up. And there was like multiple employees. Some of them I'm like, man, that's awesome. I do not remember interacting with you a single minute, okay? But that is awesome, all right? That is great. God uses little crazy things, all right? Y'all already know I'm here, okay? But get this. We were having a prayer meeting one night, okay, at my house. I called some young adults. I was just like, hey, God's doing some things. We got to get together. We got to pray. We got to do what we got to do. So people came to my house that night, and they were praying, and it's intense, and emotions going towards the end of that night. People were, kind of starting to lighten up, and I could just tell. And in my spirit, I'm just like, all right, we need to laugh. Like we need something. And we had just had the hour-long, deep stuff, and I was like, I'm going to do something to lighten the mood. So I don't know where I got it. There was this little half-sticky ball, okay, that you could, put down against something, and then it pops up and jumps, okay? So it's like half a bouncy ball kind of thing. And you do it, and it goes, and it pops, right? So cute, so funny. So what does Nate think? We're in the middle of this thing. We're drying up the snot and tears, and God is doing crazy stuff, and we're pretty much done. I was like, I'm going to lighten this mood. And so I look up, and I stuck that thing right to the middle of my forehead, okay? Again, I wish this was a fake story to make a great point. True story, unfortunately, all right? Stuck it directly to my forehead, and I'm just like, all right, guys, that was awesome and everything. And just laughter erupted. It was great. Unfortunately, that's not the end of the story. I said, oh, okay, pop that thing off my forehead. And guess what happened? A perfectly round hickey right in the middle of my forehead, okay? Perfectly round. And I popped that thing off, and me being dumb, I was like, that was funny. And they're like, you have no idea, bro. It's so funny. Well, here's the problem. I got to be at work at 5:15 in the morning at Chick-fil-A. Hello, how may I serve you? Hey, what's up? So I'm like, what do I do? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to put this Band-Aid. Jackie had to work this morning. I called Jackie, one of the youth students at the time. I said, Jackie, I don't know what to do. I live with 4 dudes in my house. Makeup is nowhere to be found. I need some skin color makeup immediately, whatever you do. So she comes over and doctors me up and try to get it right. Well, it still shows. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to put a Band-Aid on my forehead. And maybe that'll suffice, maybe no one. I just said, Lord, don't let anyone ask you, what happened to your forehead? I just didn't want that. Well, sure enough, I go there, I put the Band-Aid on, I'm going to test it out. 99 out of 99 people, oh man, what happened to your forehead? What happened? So eventually I'm just like, forget it. I take it off and they die, right? They're laughing so hard, it's hilarious, all this stuff. And sure enough, and I'm not recommending y'all put self-inflicted hickeys on yourself to brighten up your workplace, okay? But sure enough, there was a specific worker, man, that had just told me after all that and all that, even me being stupid and crazy and not meaning to do that, after I left there, they said, and you want to know something? You know what they stuck out to me? They said, I was also going through, they started to hear my story. and know what I was going through at the time. And they said, I was going through a tough time too. And they literally said, and seeing that hickey on your forehead brightened up my day. And I'm just like, I'm here for the people, you know, whatever I can do. But God uses these moments, whether we're feeling it or not, if we'll be faithful to Him. We live in some dark times, if we're just being real and being honest, right? And so God put on my heart, we've been talking about being delivered from specific sin, coming out of bondage, right? Did any of you go back to the sewage this week? All right, don't raise your hands. Last week we talked about not going back there, right? We literally flushed some sins down the toilet and said, what would we have to do to go get that piece of paper back? You got to go into the sewage, you come out stinking nasty. Well, that's what this old life of sin is like, right? Don't go back to the sewage, don't do it. Well, today the reason is because when we are delivered and we get rid of that sin and we give it to God and become His, all of a sudden we can shine light into a dark, dark place, and that has to happen. Go to the Lord with me in prayer. Father God, we just pray, God, that you would just continue to move in this place, Lord. And I pray for each and every person, wherever they're at, God, whether we came in this morning feeling it or not, we're here. Just showing up is half the battle sometimes, God. And Lord, I just pray, you just gave me this sense in my spirit this morning that sometimes we may miss out on things because we give into our flesh and don't feel like going or feel like doing something or whatever it is. God, maybe we're even here today just to kind of say, here I am, let's hurry up, let's get out of this. I got so much to do, I just want to sleep, whatever it is. But God, you've ordained this moment this morning for us to be here to encounter you in a powerful way. God, you use laughter, you use the worship, you use everything that you've ordained this morning in order to impact our lives, but not just for a social reason or just to kind of feel better, but to encounter you in a life-changing way. And Father God, as you encourage us and show us today through your word that you called us to be light in a dark, dark place, I pray that we take that, apply it to our lives, and leave change because of you. God, as I ask you every week, man, move me and use me. Get me out of the way and just completely be all about you this morning. It's in your name I pray. And everybody said, Amen. We're going to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4. We're going to look at two main verses. We're going to start in verse 5, so you can go ahead and throw that first verse up. And this is what it says. Paul is the man. Paul is talking to, writing this letter to the church of Corinth, and he says, for what we preach is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. What's so cool about the scripture, and the reason why I wanted to start with it this morning is because when I talked about, not feeling it, having to go through the motions, still trying to be a positive impact on people, even when you may not feel like it or whatever, at the end of the day, the reason why God could use me in Chick-fil-A through a bad experience and all this stuff was because it wasn't about nakedly. I prayed every single day on my 10-minute drive to work to say, God, I need you this morning. It's all you, not me. I need you. It's all you, not me. Our youth group, as a youth pastor going through that time, was stronger than ever before, even through my personal terrible time, because it was all God. And it was, God, it's got to be you. It's got to be you. If we take this verse right here, and if we apply this to our lives and say, Lord, when I preach, when I talk, when I'm used by you, whatever capacity you guys, throughout your week, throughout your day, whatever capacity He uses you in, if every day, if your thing was, Lord, it's not me, but it's all you as Lord, and ourselves as servants. The only time Paul refers to himself, ourselves in this case, plural, is to say, okay, it is about us when we're servants. Literally, if we take ourselves and we're willing to serve the Lord on high, then we're willing to be used by Him. Doing some commentary, different research and things, I found this quote that I just thought was so awesome, and it needs to apply to every single one of us. And this is what it says. Paul's goal in preaching was to bring men and women to Jesus, not to make moral changes in men. The goal, every time Paul spoke, every time Paul wrote something, every time Paul was Paul, every time he went out to be used by God, it was not to get you to stop doing A, B, or C, or not to get you to just start looking better or going through the motions. It was to get people to encounter Jesus, to truly have their lives changed because of the blood of Christ. Over the years of ministry, over the years of working in different churches, different things, I've experienced this on both sides, man. I will never forget, I'll go oldest to most current story, but one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life and my career as a pastor was being in my last church in Hickory, North Carolina, and pouring into these students, pouring into these teens, and trying to pour into the community and just be used by God. And there was a group of about 6 boys that were just from really rough homes, really tough places, and they would come to my house a lot. And we became friends. I tried to pour into them, and we played basketball together. We had Bible studies together. And one of them at one point, and this is a true story, one of them at one point, his mom said, and most of the parents, as long as they weren't at the house bothering them, they didn't care where they were. And one of the parents said to the mom, who I was close to that mom too, but she wasn't church or anything, she knew me pretty well. And she said, finally to her boy one day, she said, DJ, why are you at Nate's house all the time? Like, what's the deal? And he literally told his mama this. Some of you mamas were like, shoot, my boy said that to me, I'm going to smack him upside the head. But this was the culture, this was the way it was for them. The boy looked at him and said, well, Mom, would you rather me hanging out at Nate's house and all of us kind of going over there and playing ball at the church and going to youth group and helping out and stuff, or just kind of hanging out in the neighborhood smoking weed all the time? And that's literally what he told her. It's kind of like, to us, this is a better option. You know, this is what we want to do. And that, at the time, I was just like, man, cool, okay, God, you're using this, you know, da-da-da. And I'm not going to necessarily say it was all about me, but what happened was, I tried to say, all right, well, if you stay here the night before, Saturday night, we're going to have a time of devotion, and you're going to go to church the next morning. No, me waking up and y'all are gone, okay? We're going to go to church. And they were real committed, man. Every Sunday, every Wednesday for youth, they were real committed to go. They helped out a ton. But what happened was, looking back now, for whoever's fault, for whatever reason, they had to make a choice. In my 4 years there, pouring into these teens nonstop, this specific group of 6, none of them ever